Hi everybody, welcome back. Today's a one-story video, full story with complete closure. Guy's wife stands up at her own birthday party and tells 30 people she wants a divorce. Her friends cheer. He stays dead calm, says, okay, I'll file Monday. She thinks he's bluffing. He's not. Timestamps below if you want to skip around. Let's get into it. My wife announced she wanted a divorce at her own birthday party, while her friends cheered her on. I said, okay, I'll file Monday. She didn't think I was serious, until I was. All right, Reddit, strap in because this one still feels surreal even months later. My wife told a rooftop full of people she wanted a divorce from me like it was the funniest thing she'd ever said. Her friends clapped. She laughed. I agreed. And somehow I'm the bad guy. Let me take you through it. It happened under string lights on a rented rooftop in downtown Austin. The skyline was glowing behind us, music was playing, 30-something people were mingling with plates of catered food, and my wife Jenna raised her glass in front of everyone and said we should just get divorced already. She leaned into her friend Brooke, giggling like she'd just delivered the punchline of the century. Maybe for my birthday, she said. You can give me freedom papers. The group around her laughed. Someone actually whistled. I felt every single pair of eyes in that circle slide toward me, like I was the punchline they'd all been waiting for. I kept my voice level. Is that what you want, Jenna? She rolled her eyes dramatically. Relax. It's called humor. Don't be so sensitive. I'm not, I said. You said divorce. Brooke, who I swear was put on this earth specifically to instigate, smirked at me from behind her glass. Come on, Nate. We all know Jenna deserves an upgrade. The laughter got sharper, louder. I looked at my wife. 5 years married, 10 years together total. This was the same woman who once cried in my arms over student loans and burnt casseroles when we were still in our tiny apartment. Now she was grinning at me like I was part of the evening's entertainment. Say it clearly, I told her. Was that a joke or are you asking for one? She tilted her head, soaking in the spotlight. Maybe I'm just tired of being married to someone so predictable. That word landed harder than any of the laughter. Predictable. I nodded once. Calm. Measured. Okay then. I'll get the papers ready. Silence. Not the playful kind. The kind that tightens a room like someone sucked all the oxygen out. Brooke's smile twitched. Megan blinked. Someone coughed near the food table. Jenna's expression faltered for half a second before she recovered with a forced grin. Oh, please. You wouldn't survive without me. I held her gaze. Try me. She stepped closer, dropping her voice just slightly. But not enough. Don't embarrass yourself. You think anyone here believes you'd actually leave? I shrugged. You brought it up. I'm just agreeing. The wind picked up across the rooftop, tugging at napkins and loose hair. The birthday playlist kept playing, upbeat and awkwardly cheerful against the tension. Jenna laughed again, louder this time. Desperate sounding. God, he's so dramatic. This is why I can't take you anywhere. I didn't flinch. And this is why I won't be taken anywhere anymore. That did it. Nobody was laughing. Now let me give you some context here because you deserve it. I wasn't some reckless guy looking for an exit. I was a 34-year-old project manager for an architectural firm here in Austin. Up at 6, gym 3 times a week, mortgage paid on time, grill cleaned every Sunday. We lived in a modern 2-story in Round Rock, with gray walls Jenna picked and furniture I assembled. Not flashy, not exciting, but the kind of stable that people usually appreciate until they decide it's boring. Jenna and I met through mutual friends at a crawfish boil, back when we were both 24. She was sharp, funny, had this confidence that pulled you in. We moved in together after a year, got married after 3, bought the house 6 months later. Somewhere around year 7 or 8, though, things shifted. She got promoted, started running with a different crowd, and I became less of a partner and more of a supporting character in her social life. She leaned in one last time, voice sharp. You're overreacting. It was a joke. Jokes are funny, I replied. Explain this one. Her cheeks flushed. God, you're exhausting. No, I said quietly. I'm done being exhausted. The skyline shimmered behind her, but the warmth of the night was completely gone. What started as a birthday toast had turned into a public autopsy of our marriage. She wanted control back. I could see it in the way her jaw tightened. "You always do this," she snapped. "You ruin the mood." I shook my head slowly. "No, Jenna, you did." Another stretch of silence. Thick, uncomfortable, real. And as I stood there watching her search for another line to save face, I realized something colder than the night air. This wasn't the first time she disrespected me. It was just the first time I stopped laughing along. Pause for a second. I love how Nate handled this. Most guys would have lost it right there. Yelled, stormed off, given her the big emotional reaction she could spin into a story about how dramatic he is. He gave her nothing. Just calm, direct, and final. That is emotional intelligence at its finest. She wasn't joking, by the way. She was testing how much disrespect he'd swallow in public. And for the first time, he didn't swallow it. "Okay then, I'll get the papers ready." 6 words. Changed everything. Keep watching. Later that same night, while the party tried awkwardly to stitch itself back together, my longtime friend Liam pulled me aside near the railing. Liam had been in my life since freshman year at UT. Former linebacker, now running a small real estate firm in Cedar Park. Built like a refrigerator. Loyal like a Labrador. The kind of friend who shows up without being asked and never makes it weird. He handed me a water without asking. "You good?" he muttered, scanning my face like he was checking for structural damage. "I'm fine," I said automatically. He didn't buy it. "She just humiliated you in front of half the city, man." Across the rooftop, Jenna was laughing too hard at something Brooke said. Too animated, too bright. Classic damage control. The kind of performance that only works if nobody in the audience was paying attention 5 minutes ago. But everybody was paying attention 5 minutes ago. Liam leaned closer. "If you were serious about what you said, I know a guy. Family law. Mean in court, polite at dinner. The kind you want on your side." "I'm not emotional about this," I said calmly. Liam studied me carefully. "That's what worries me." "I'm not hurt," I said after a moment. Liam raised an eyebrow. "No." I shook my head slowly. "I'm awake." He let that sit, because for years I'd brushed things off. The little jabs about my boring job, the way she'd roll her eyes when I talked about budgeting, the subtle digs in front of friends, always framed as humor. Tonight wasn't new. It was just public. "So what are you thinking?" Liam asked. "I think," I said carefully, "that respect isn't something you beg for." "No," he agreed. "And when someone shows you exactly how they see you, believe them." He nodded once. "So this isn't about pride?" "No." I set my glass down with deliberate calm. "It's about consequences." Liam gave a low whistle. "You're serious. I said I'd get the papers ready. And you meant it?" "Yes." He studied me for another second, then pulled out his phone. "His name's David Navarro. Downtown office. Doesn't play games." "I'm not playing either," I replied. Liam clapped a heavy hand on my shoulder. "Just make sure you're doing this for the right reason." "I am." He tilted his head. "Which is?" I looked back at Jenna one last time. She caught me watching and forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Because," I said evenly, "some lessons don't stick unless they cost something." The party went on another hour. I stayed composed, polite, even helped cut the cake. Jenna avoided being alone with me. And the strangest thing happened. The anger I expected never arrived. What replaced it was quieter, colder, clearer. I watched the rest of the party from a distance, mentally cataloging things I'd been too comfortable to notice. The way Jenna's friends spoke to her versus about me. The way she lit up performing for them, but went flat the moment it was just us. The way she'd started treating my presence at events like an obligation, rather than a choice. It all clicked into place like puzzle pieces I'd been staring at sideways for years. Driving home through the warm Austin night, windows down, city lights fading in the rearview mirror, I realized something important. Humiliation can either shrink a man or clarify him. By the time we pulled into our driveway in Round Rock, I wasn't reacting anymore. I was deciding. The next morning, sunlight spilled across our gray-toned kitchen as Jenna stood barefoot by the island and finally asked if I had meant what I said. I was already dressed. Pressed navy shirt, sleeves buttoned, coffee poured black, routine steady. She hovered near the sink, arms folded loosely. She hadn't slept much. I could tell because her mascara was gone, but the tension under her eyes remained. So, she began lightly, opening the fridge and closing it again without taking anything out. About last night. I took a sip of coffee. What about it? She forced a small laugh. You don't actually think we're getting divorced? It wasn't a question. It was an attempt to shrink the moment back down to something manageable. I set my mug down carefully. I told you I'd get the papers ready. She leaned against the counter, shaking her head like I'd just misread a weather forecast. Nate, it was a party. People joke. You took it too seriously. I didn't take it, I replied calmly. You gave it. Her jaw tightened. Oh my God. Are we still doing this? Yes. The word landed flat and solid between us. She stared at me for a long second and scoffed. Okay, sure. So what, you Googled divorce attorneys at midnight? I made a call. Her smile flickered. An attorney? She blinked. Already? Yes. The refrigerator hummed behind her. Outside, a neighbor's garage door rattled open. Normal morning sounds. Ordinary life continuing without ceremony. She let out another small laugh, thinner this time. You're bluffing. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I checked my watch. The consultation is Monday at 9. That's when the color shifted in her face. Just slightly, like someone had adjusted the saturation on a photo. You're insane, she said quietly. No, I replied. I'm consistent. She stepped closer. You're going to throw away 5 years because of one comment? I met her eyes evenly. It wasn't one comment. She hesitated. There it was. The flicker of recognition. Not apology, not yet. Just awareness that this wasn't about last night alone. You're being dramatic, she tried again, softer this time. I'm being clear. She rubbed her arms like the room had suddenly cooled 10 degrees. So that's it? You just decided? You decided first, I said gently. You just didn't expect me to agree. Silence stretched across the kitchen island. She searched my face for something. Anger, desperation, doubt, anything she could push against. But I wasn't pushing anymore. I didn't mean it, she said, quieter now. I believe you, I answered. That caught her off guard. You do? Yes. Relief flashed across her face too soon. But meaning it isn't the point. Her expression hardened. Then what is? Respect. The word sat there like a weight between us. She crossed her arms again, but this time it wasn't defensive. It was protective. You're overreacting. I picked up my briefcase. If you think that, then you won't be worried. Her eyes narrowed slightly. I'm not. I paused at the doorway. Good. Then Monday won't surprise you. I walked out without slamming the door. As I backed out of the driveway, I saw her through the kitchen window. Still standing there. Not crying, not furious. Just unsettled. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't trying to soothe that feeling for her. That evening, instead of going straight home, I parked near Lady Bird Lake and walked the trail alone. The Austin skyline glowed against the dark water. The air smelled faintly of cedar and damp earth. The pattern had been building for years. I just hadn't wanted to see it. Jenna teasing me in front of her coworkers about my safe little spreadsheets. Jenna correcting me mid-sentence at dinner parties. Jenna making decisions about our finances and weekends, and informing me after like I was an employee getting a memo. I'd always brushed it off. Told myself she was just strong-willed, just social, just joking. But respect isn't loud. It's quiet and consistent. And mine had been chipped away in small, polished pieces for years. When I finally drove downtown to meet David Navarro on Monday, I wasn't shaking. I wasn't furious. I was focused. His office sat on the 5th floor of a limestone building near Congress Avenue. Dark wood desk, floor-to-ceiling windows facing the Capitol Dome. You understand, he began. After reviewing the basics, divorce is not a reactionary tool. Once filed, it changes everything. I know. He studied me carefully. 5 years married, joint property, no children. On paper, this is straightforward. He closed the folder. Let me ask you something directly, Nate. Is this salvageable? I asked her for clarity, I said. She gave me performance. He nodded and slid a preliminary document toward me. If we proceed, we do it clean. Fair division. No theatrics. Because I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to leave intact. Hold on a minute, let me jump in. For anyone listening, this is me, not Nate talking. I want to point something out. That line, "I didn't take it, you gave it," that's the line of a man who's already done. He's not negotiating. He's not trying to save anything. He's informing her. And the smartest thing he does here is he doesn't argue. He lets her talk herself into a corner while he just states facts. That's how you handle someone who's used to controlling the conversation. You don't fight. You just stop participating. Now the actual papers come out. This part is good. A week later, in the quiet of our living room, with the late afternoon sun stretching across the hardwood floors, I placed the divorce documents on the coffee table and asked Jenna to sign. She was curled on the couch scrolling through her phone when I walked in. The TV was on but muted. Some reality show paused mid-drama. The house smelled like that lavender candle she always kept burning. And for a brief moment, everything looked so normal, you could almost forget what had brought us here. Almost. "What's that?" she asked without looking up. I set the envelope down carefully. "The papers." She blinked, slowly lowered the phone. "You're still on this?" I took a seat across from her. "Yes." She gave a short, nervous laugh. "Nate, it's been a week. You made your point. I wasn't making a point." Her eyes flicked to the envelope like it might explode. "You actually filed?" "I started the process," I corrected. "This is a fair division. 50-50. The house can be sold or you can buy me out. Your choice." She stared at me, searching for the catch. "You're serious. I've been serious." Her face drained of color just slightly. "This is insane." "No," I said calmly. "It's structured." She grabbed the documents with shaky fingers and flipped through the pages. Her breathing changed, shallower now. "You talked to a lawyer. You actually sat there and talked about our marriage like it was a contract." "It is a contract." Her head snapped up. "Don't reduce it like that. You did that on the rooftop." The room went still. She swallowed hard. "I didn't mean it." "I know." She slammed the papers down on the table. "Then why are we here?" "Because you said it easily." Her voice sharpened. "Brooke and Megan were joking around. They were hyping me up. It got out of hand." "So it's their fault?" "No, I'm just saying." She stood up abruptly and started pacing. "You know how they are. It was stupid. I was stupid." I watched her move back and forth across the rug we'd picked out together at a Saturday market in East Austin. She looked smaller now. Not socially polished, not confident. Just unsettled. The version of Jenna who had raised that glass on the rooftop was gone. This was the version that realized consequences aren't theoretical. "You let them talk about me like that," I said quietly. "You laughed. You didn't correct them. You didn't pull me aside. You performed." Her steps slowed. "Yes, it was a party. And I was your husband. The one who drives you home. The one who pays the mortgage on time. The one you apparently needed freedom papers from." That landed harder than anything else I'd said all week. She pressed her fingers to her temples. "Why are you acting like I betrayed you?" I didn't raise my voice. "Because you did." Silence expanded between us. Her eyes glossed slightly. Not tears. Just frustration building without direction. "You're blowing this up over pride," she said. I leaned back in my chair. If it were pride, I'd be yelling. She looked at me then. Really looked. And I think that's when she understood something had shifted beyond repair. "You don't even seem angry," she said quietly. "I'm not." "Then what are you?" "Finished." The word didn't echo. It didn't slam. It simply existed. She sank back onto the couch. 5 years, Nate. I remember. You're just walking away? I'm walking forward. Her mouth opened, then closed. She picked up the papers again, scanning the terms. "You're not trying to take anything from me," she muttered. "No." "You're not punishing me?" "No." "Then what is this?" "Clarity." She shook her head slowly, disbelief mixing with fear. "You can't just detach like this." I stood, smoothing the sleeve of my shirt. I didn't detach. I decided. She looked down at the signature line. Her hand hovered over it, but didn't move. "You're really not coming back from this, are you?" she asked. voice softer now. I paused at the doorway. "No," I said gently. "I'm not." And for the first time since that rooftop night, she wasn't trying to win the room. She was trying to understand how she'd lost it. Wait, let me pause here. For the listeners, this is me again jumping in. I want to explain why this scene is so powerful. She threw every tool in the book at him. The tears, blaming her friends, the guilt trip, calling it pride, and he had an answer for every single one without raising his voice once. If it were pride, I'd be yelling. That line alone should be framed on a wall. Here's what she can't handle. He's not angry. Angry she could work with. Finished? There's nothing to grab onto. Brilliant move. Now her friends show up, and honestly, this is my favorite part. The next morning, I was standing on the front porch with a mug of black coffee when Brooke and Megan walked up the driveway wearing smiles that didn't reach their eyes. It was barely 9. The Texas sun was already warm. The neighborhood quiet except for a lawnmower humming somewhere down the street. I saw them before they reached the steps. Brooke waved first. "Hey, Nate," Megan followed with a tight grin. "We just wanted to talk. I didn't invite them in." "What about?" I asked calmly. They exchanged a quick glance, the kind people share when they've rehearsed something in the car. "About the party," Brooke said. "Things got blown out of proportion." I took a slow sip of coffee. "Did they?" Megan nodded quickly. Jenna was joking. We were all joking. "You know how birthdays get." "I do," I replied. "Usually cake is involved, not legal threats." Their smiles twitched. Brooke shifted her weight. "Look, we feel bad. We never meant for it to go that far." "Go where?" I asked evenly. "To this whole divorce thing," Megan said, lowering her voice like the word might stain the air. I leaned against the porch railing. "You think this is about one night?" They hesitated. "Well," Brooke began carefully, "Jenna said you're overreacting." I almost laughed. She would. Megan crossed her arms, her tone sharpening just slightly. "You know she loves you." "Interesting," I said. "She didn't mention that on the microphone." Brooke let out a strained chuckle. "Okay, that was too much. We admit it, but it was playful." I looked at both of them. The curated hair, the activewear outfits, the confidence built on commentary. "Playful for who?" I asked. Megan tried a different angle. "Jenna's been stressed. Work stuff. You know how she vents. We hype her up sometimes. So you hyped her into disrespecting her husband?" "That's not fair," Brooke snapped. "No," I agreed calmly. "It's accurate." The breeze picked up, rustling the oak tree in the yard. For a moment, none of us spoke. Then Megan sighed dramatically. "You're really going through with this?" "Yes." "Over pride?" I tilted my head. "You all seem very invested in calling it pride." Brooke's patience cracked first. "You embarrassed her." I actually laughed at that. Short, dry, real. I embarrassed her? "She was just trying to be funny," Megan insisted, and I was just agreeing. They didn't like that one. Brooke stepped closer to the porch. "You don't have to destroy your marriage because of one stupid joke." I set the mug down on the railing. "You know what's interesting?" I said calmly. "I understand now why all 3 of you are still single. That landed like a brick." Megan's smile vanished. Brooke's jaw tightened. "What's that supposed to mean?" Megan demanded. "It means," I said evenly, "you treat relationships like performance art. Whoever gets the loudest laugh wins." "That's ridiculous," Brooke snapped. "Is it?" Megan scoffed. "Jenna deserves someone who can handle her." I nodded slowly. Maybe she does. The silence that followed wasn't friendly. Brooke grabbed Megan's arm. "This is pointless." Megan shot me one last look. "Don't come crying when you realize what you lost." I picked up my coffee again. "I won't." They turned sharply and marched back down the driveway, whispering furiously to each other. I watched them get into Brooke's white SUV and pull out a little too fast. The neighborhood returned to quiet. I stood there for another minute, letting the caffeine settle. It was almost impressive how quickly they tried to reframe humiliation as humor, disrespect as misunderstanding. But the truth doesn't need volume. It just needs consistency. A few days later, I was sitting at my kitchen island scrolling through my phone when I realized Jenna had decided to take the performance online. It started subtle. A quote posted to her Instagram story. "Sometimes you outgrow people who can't grow with you," followed by a selfie captioned, "Freedom looks good on me." Then, Megan shared a meme. Two women clinking glasses with the caption, "When you finally drop the dead weight." Jenna reposted it with a laughing emoji. No names mentioned, but the target was obvious. For a second, I expected the old familiar heat. The instinct to defend myself, to respond, to correct the narrative. Instead, I set my phone down and finished my coffee. Let them post. Let them perform. The internet has a funny way of sorting things out on its own. An hour later, it buzzed again. "Liam, you seeing this?" he texted. "Yep," I replied. "Want me to comment?" "No." A few minutes passed, then something shifted. Under Megan's meme, comments began stacking up. "Is this about Nate? That rooftop thing was wild. Kinda messed up to joke about divorce in public. He handled it way better than I would have. Dude stayed composed. Respect." I didn't respond. I just watched. Brooke tried to steer it back, replying with laughing emojis, insisting it was just vibes. But the internet doesn't forget tone. By mid-afternoon, someone had clipped a short video from the birthday party. The moment Jenna had raised her glass and laughed about divorcing me. You could hear my voice clearly in the background. Calm, steady. "Okay then, I'll get the papers ready." The clip spread faster than I expected. Group chats lit up. Old college friends texted. Even a coworker stopped by my office and said quietly, "Man, that was rough." What surprised me wasn't the attention. It was the defense. People weren't mocking me. They were questioning her. Comment after comment. By evening, the tone online had flipped completely. Megan deleted the meme. Brooke turned off comments. Jenna went silent. But silence online is louder than noise. That's when the real tension began. Mutual friends started choosing sides. Invitations adjusted. Group chats splintered. My phone kept buzzing. I didn't post a single thing. Around 9 that night, Jenna walked into the living room, her face tight. "Did you send that video to people?" she demanded. I looked up from my laptop. "No. Don't lie to me." "I didn't. I haven't posted a single thing since this started." She crossed her arms. "This is getting out of hand." "You started it online," I said calmly. I was venting. "So was I. On a rooftop. People are attacking me." "No," I said. "They're reacting. There's a difference. Brooke's furious. Megan's getting messages. This is humiliating." I held her gaze. "Now you understand the word." That stopped her cold. She looked like she might argue again, but something in my expression must have warned her off. "This isn't what I wanted," she muttered. I nodded once. "I know. Okay, hold on, me again. Let me point something out for you guys." He didn't post a single thing. Not one comment, not one story, not one vague quote. She went online and tried to control the narrative, and the internet flipped it on her without Nate lifting a finger. That's what happens when you stay quiet and let someone else's actions speak for themselves. People aren't stupid. They saw the video and made up their own minds. She handed the internet the evidence and then got surprised when they used it. You can't make this up. All right, the warehouse scene is next, and this is where everything blows apart. 3 days after the online storm peaked, I received an invitation to a private event at a renovated warehouse on the east side of Austin, hosted by Grant Holloway, a local entrepreneur who'd recently sold his company. Grant wasn't just successful, he was influential, and he used to be close friends with Jenna before a quiet falling out last year. The message was short. "Heard you've had a week. Come by Friday. Good people. No drama." I went. The warehouse overlooked the river. Exposed brick, warm lighting, live jazz, catered food. The kind of atmosphere that doesn't require performance. Grant greeted me personally. "Nate," he said, shaking my hand firmly. "Glad you came. Thanks for the invite." He studied me for a moment. "You handled yourself well." "I just stayed quiet," I replied. "Exactly." Conversations flowed easily. Business owners, architects, investors. Grounded people talking about ideas, not each other. No teasing, no backhanded jokes. It was the kind of room where you could actually breathe without wondering if someone was about to turn you into content for their group chat. At one point, A woman named Paige, who Grant introduced me to, laughed at something I said and added, "It's rare to see someone stay composed under pressure." I smiled slightly. It's cheaper than losing control. She tilted her head, amused. That's a line. It's a principle, I corrected gently. Through the glass doors, I could see 3 familiar silhouettes arguing with security. Jenna, Brooke, Megan, not on the list. Grant followed my glance and exhaled quietly. They tried earlier too. Security didn't budge. But about an hour later, the glass doors burst open, and Jenna stormed in with Brooke and Megan right behind her. Security must have slipped. The calm atmosphere cracked instantly. Nate. Jenna's voice cut through the jazz like a blade. Conversation stalled. Heads turned. Grant stepped forward. This is a private event. Jenna ignored him. Eyes locked on me. You really thought you could just parade around like the victim? I set my glass down slowly. This isn't the place. No, she snapped. Apparently nowhere is the place unless it benefits you. Brooke tugged her arm. Jenna, let's just talk to him outside. We are talking, Jenna insisted loudly. Megan folded her arms. You embarrassed her online. I didn't post anything, I replied evenly. Jenna laughed sharply. Oh, please, you didn't have to. You let everyone crucify me. You posted first. That was venting, and this is consequence. The words seemed to echo. Guests shifted uncomfortably. Someone whispered near the bar. Grant's tone hardened. Take this to the balcony, now. Jenna huffed but turned, marching toward the open doors overlooking the river. Brooke and Megan followed. I hesitated a second, then stepped out. More to contain it than engage. The night air was cooler. City lights shimmered on the water below. This is your fault, Brooke hissed at Jenna. You pushed it too far at the party. Oh, now it's my fault? Jenna shot back. You're the one who started the joke. Megan scoffed. Don't drag me into this. You were already spiraling before the toast. I stayed silent. Jenna pointed at me. He's been waiting for an excuse. Don't act like this is about one comment. Then what is it about? I asked calmly. She opened her mouth, but Brooke cut in. It's about you not being enough for her anymore. Megan's head snapped toward Brooke. Stop! Jenna glared at them both. Shut up! But the cracks were widening. Brooke threw her hands up. You were the one texting me about that guy from the conference. Jenna's face drained completely. Don't! Megan stepped back, eyes wide. Oh my God! Stop talking, Jenna warned, voice shaking now. But Megan was done playing loyal. She joked about divorce, Megan blurted, because she already cheated. She didn't think you'd actually call her bluff. The words hit the air like shattered glass. For a split second, nobody breathed. The river below kept moving, indifferent. I looked at Jenna. Not angry, not surprised. Just still. That's not true, she said quickly, stepping toward me. Megan's twisting things. Brooke avoided my eyes. Megan crossed her arms defensively. You told us, Megan snapped. You said it happened in Houston. You said you felt alive again. Jenna's voice cracked. I was venting. That's what you call everything, I said quietly. Her eyes met mine. Panic fully visible now. It didn't mean anything, she rushed. It was one mistake, no denial, just minimization. The music inside had stopped completely. A small crowd lingered near the doorway, pretending not to watch. I felt something inside me settle into place. Not explode, not collapse. Settle. So that's why the joke was easy, I said. Jenna reached for my arm. Nate, please, don't do this here. You already did, I replied. Brooke muttered that they needed to leave. Megan shook her head. This is on you, Jenna. The argument reignited between the three of them. Accusations, deflections, raised voices blending into something messy and desperate. I stepped back. Grant appeared beside me quietly. You good? Yeah. I looked at Jenna one last time as she tried to regain control. Her voice rising, hands moving sharply, as if she could rearrange reality by force. But control doesn't return once truth enters the room. I didn't yell. I didn't demand details. I didn't ask for a name or a timeline or any of the things you're supposed to demand in that moment. I simply walked back inside, grabbed my jacket, and headed for the exit. Behind me, the balcony argument kept escalating. 3 women who had walked in as a united front were now tearing each other apart over a truth none of them could put back in the box. The doors closed, and this time, I didn't look back. Wait, hold on. For the listeners, this is me jumping back in. Her own best friend just exposed her. At an event she crashed uninvited. And Nate's response to finding out his wife cheated? 9 words. So that's why the joke was easy. Think about that. He didn't scream, didn't demand details. He just connected the dots out loud and walked away. That is a level of self-control that most people will never reach. She gambled the whole marriage on him being too predictable to fight back. And she lost everything. Let's finish this. Final update. 2 weeks later, I walked out of the Travis County Courthouse with a signed settlement in my hand, and no desire to look back. Jenna hadn't contested much. After the balcony scene, the evidence, the public fallout, the admission, it had drained the fight out of her strategy. Her attorney tried to push for a larger share of the house equity, arguing she'd contributed to the household in non-financial ways. My attorney responded with a documented timeline of events, and the judge didn't need much convincing after that. The division stayed clean, 50-50. No theatrics, no revenge clauses, just finality. The whole thing took less than an hour. 10 years together, 5 years married, wrapped up before lunch. Liam met me on the courthouse steps. "You good?" he asked. Same tone as the rooftop night, but different weight now. "I'm steady," I said. He nodded approvingly. "You handled this like a surgeon." I thought about it. More like a contractor. Remove what's unstable before it collapses. He laughed quietly. People noticed. He wasn't wrong. Over the next few days, messages came in. Not gossip, not curiosity. Respect. Even acquaintances who'd stayed neutral during the social media chaos reached out. "You kept it classy. Didn't see you badmouth her once?" That takes control. A guy from my gym who I'd barely spoken to beyond head nods sent me a text that just said, "Heard what happened. King move." That one actually made me laugh. Meanwhile, Brooke stopped posting and deleted half her stories. Invitations Jenna used to receive quietly stopped arriving. I heard through the Austin grapevine that the 3 of them had turned on each other after the balcony explosion. Apparently, Brooke blamed Megan for running her mouth, and Megan blamed Brooke for encouraging Jenna's behavior in the first place. Jenna blamed both of them. Blame travels faster than loyalty. I didn't engage. I didn't need to. The house felt different when I returned that evening. Half the closet empty. Her framed photos gone from the hallway. The lavender candle replaced by nothing. Silence filled the rooms. But it wasn't heavy anymore. It was honest. I set my keys on the kitchen counter and stood there for a moment. The gray walls she chose. The appliances we picked out together. No performance, no audience, no tension waiting to spark. Just space. For the first time in years, the quiet didn't feel like something I had to survive. It felt like something I had chosen. And that made all the difference. 3 weeks after everything was finalized, I loaded a duffel bag into my truck and headed west, leaving Austin behind as the sun climbed over the Texas horizon. No itinerary, just highway. The city skyline shrank in my rearview mirror, replaced by open land. Flat stretches giving way to desert tones as I crossed into New Mexico. The radio stayed off. Just the hum of the engine and wind through the cracked windows. It's funny how humiliation feels permanent in the moment. Like it brands you. But somewhere between El Paso and a roadside diner outside Las Cruces, I realized something different. That rooftop hadn't broken me. It revealed me. I stopped near White Sands at sunset. The sky burning orange over miles of pale earth. No audience, no commentary, just wind. I thought about the balcony scene, the confession, the courtroom, the silence afterward. At no point had I screamed. At no point had I begged. I simply refused to negotiate my own worth. And that refusal had done more than any revenge ever could. Jenna had expected emotion. Anger she could label. Pride she could mock. Noise she could counter. What she got instead was stillness. And stillness unsettles people who rely on chaos. Sitting on the tailgate of my truck watching the sun sink into the horizon, I finally understood something simple. Dignity isn't dramatic. It's disciplined. It's the decision to stand up quietly when someone tries to shrink you. The desert cooled as the light faded. Peace doesn't arrive loudly. It arrives when you stop fighting to be understood by someone who already chose not to. By the time I climbed back into the truck, I wasn't thinking about Jenna anymore. I wasn't replaying the rooftop. I was thinking about open roads, about space, about the kind of life you build when you stop performing inside someone else's narrative. As the engine turned over and the headlights cut through the dark desert, one final thought stayed with me. Sometimes the best response isn't revenge. It's dignity sharpened into steel. And once you carry it, no one gets to laugh at you again. So Reddit, that's my story. I still think about that night on the balcony. About Megan being the one who finally said the truth out loud, even though it blew up her own friendship in the process. And I honestly wonder whether she did the right thing by exposing Jenna's cheating when everything was already falling apart. Or should she have kept quiet? Have you ever seen someone make a choice like that in the middle of chaos? Tell me what you think. And that's where the story ends, folks. Jenna's biggest mistake was assuming that patience equals weakness. She confused his calm with compliance. Thought the guy who cleans the grill every Sunday would never actually leave. By the time she realized the difference, a judge was already stamping paperwork. And her friends? Turned on each other the second things got real. If you're ever in a spot like this, learn from Nate. Don't react, just decide. And be consistent. Like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. One. Peace. One. Peace. One. Peace. One. Peace.